as I'm going through stuff or talking about things, jump in with any questions or anything that you guys have on that. Whether it's there's a few things before we start talking about the Excel sheet and the pivot tables and stuff that I'll go over here. So if you guys have questions on any of that, please let me know also. But thank you guys for completing that survey on the summer schedule piece for that. So we're going to go with the 2 classes during the summer session, and then we'll take a week break, and then we'll do 1 class in July and the first part of August. So we'll have EED, I didn't have them written down, 510, we'll do differentiated instruction, and we'll do, what's the name of that? Curriculum design. That's not the name of it. I'm teaching it, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. Sorry. So we'll do those 2 during summer session. Both of those are 2 credits. So I'm teaching 1 and Juliana is teaching 1. And so we're gonna work together to match our classes up so that we don't have assignments due at the same time for both classes. It's gonna kind of like 1 week there'll be stuff due for maybe mine and the next week due for hers. So we're going to work together on that so that everything is not kind of overlapping with that. And so summer, that session will run May 20th to like June 27th. I'll put all this out in an email so you have the dates and everything with that too, and I'll put it on the homepage here. So that'll be about 6 weeks for those 2 classes. Then we'll take a break over that 4th of July week. And then the models of teaching class, which is a 3 credit class. Travis is going to do that one. That'll run July 8th to about 1, 2, 3, 4, the August 16th. And then there'll be another break, week break in there. And then the fall semester will start with that. The fall semester for us starts a week later than it normally does. I'm not quite sure why they have that set up in their calendar, but usually we start like fall semester on about August 19th or so, but this year it'll be August like 26th will be that first week for the fall semester piece. So so that's what the schedule will look like. So there'll be 2 classes, 2 credits each. So they're a little bit less work in each of those 2 credit ones compared to the 3 credit ones. So that's why we're putting both of those 2 in that 6-week traditional or normal summer session. Also, then you'll have that the research credit where you're working with your advisor throughout the summer on your thesis or your project piece. So that'll run throughout the whole summer. And that's more of like, there's not a scheduled class for that, right? That's going to be us communicating with you working or communicating with your advisor, asking for help, directions, review, revisions, all kinds of stuff on that piece of that. Okay. So that will be what that will look like. Questions on that or anything in regards to that, what that schedule might look like or what that schedule is? Sunshine, you got a question?
What is it?
What is the session?
Yeah.
So we're going to do the 2 classes during the regular summer session, which is May 20th to July 27th, or not July, June 27th. And that's the two credit classes, the differentiated instruction and the curriculum design. I can't think of the name. That's the class I'm teaching. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, but I'll send it out in an email and everything too, so everybody has it and can see what that looks like. So,
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, if you could mute, that would be there. All right, thank you. Okay, so did that summer schedule, start date, end date with that piece, etc. Okay, so yeah, if you guys got other questions on that, please let us know. I think I emailed out everything in terms of advisor stuff to you guys, but I'll send that out again with that piece of that. So we'll have finals for this this week here, this semester here, of course, is the first week. Well, May 2nd is the last day, but it's the half of April, half of May, first week of that piece. So then there'll be a couple weeks off of that, but as soon as we get like book orders and those things put together, we know what they are. We'll send them out to you guys because I know some of you guys prefer to do stuff rather than through the bookstore. So we'll get that out to you. And then also try to get things started. I'm going to try to get things started as early as I can for assignments and everything out there so you can see them, in case I know some of you like to kind of maybe work ahead or start early a little bit on some of that stuff. Try to get that ready as much as possible. So okay. Also, thank you guys for getting your questions in and getting your surveys out and all those that piece of that. So hopefully you guys are getting enough feedback back here for those, and that we can maybe do a little bit of work with that, or you can do some work with those this week. So that's kind of what this week is about. I'm going to go back through. I know I had shared a video with you guys on taking stuff from Google Forms and putting it into Microsoft Excel, and then making pivot tables and doing all kinds of stuff with that. And so I kind of went through and watched that again. And he goes pretty quick on that, but so I just want to go through and take some of the stuff, the answers that you guys gave for the survey that I did, and then share out kind of how you can go through some of that, hope maybe a little bit slower or whatever. So you can kind of see that as well. So if you have questions on that, again, I'm not an expert on it, but if you have questions on it as we're going through, or if you use that a lot and do things with them, and you see something I'm not doing or a trick that you know how to do, please let me know with that as well. So that's going to be this week's assignment, is that you're going to take your information, and then it says data analysis and presentation. And so all we're going to do, or I'm going to have you do, is take that information from your survey in Google, put it into an Excel form, and then create a couple pivot tables or charts just to practice doing that piece of that for this week. So it's not anything super complicated, but just to get you kind of familiar with that a little bit. And then as we look ahead, just a reminder, so like next week, the 15th, and the following week, the 22nd, I'm not available those Mondays. Okay? So we're going to just finish up the last two chapters of our Indigenous Statistics book. I'm still working with Danny Lukey, so hopefully maybe he can come in and be a guest speaker for us on one of those days. But we're still working. He's extremely busy with multiple things up at Turtle Mountain Community College, where he's teaching right now. So I'm not sure that is going to work. But if it is, I'm shooting for the 22nd to give you guys, to give him enough time and you guys enough time to know that is going to happen for sure on that. Okay. And then, so these are open right now. If you want to read ahead on those chapters and work ahead on those chapters, you sure can do that. They're open, and you can upload that a reflection piece when you want to, or you're finished with that there. And so the final piece, I don't have anything in there right now, but what I want to do is that after you guys go through your so the stuff for this week, where you're going to go through, create some pivot tables, kind of look at your data and information, I want you to, and I'll put this in there, but I want you to do kind of like a little narrative assessment of that information that you got from your surveys. Okay, so like today, it's going to be maybe 2 or 3 pivot tables or charts that you create from your data. For the final, then I want you to take your information from your survey, and then you can decide, like, what do you want to look at, what do you want to analyze, what do you want to compare, and then write about that, like why you compared it, what did you find out about it. And I know not all of us put questions together that it would really like maybe not be meaningful, or you may not be able to really dive into that information. But I've got some example data that if you don't want to use the results from your survey and you want to look at something different, I've got some other information on that too that you can do. So that'll be totally up to you on that. So you're just going to present a little narrative of the analysis of that data, along with the charts and graphs and histograms and some of those different pieces there on that for the final. Okay, so that'll be up there this week, so you can see that. And hopefully after we go through stuff today, that makes a little bit more sense if you're not quite sure what I'm talking about with that. Okay. So I'm going to pull up my responses and results to my survey here. So as you guys go in this, maybe you've seen this already, maybe not, but you can see here, I'm going to minimize this here. So if you go into responses there, you can see, and as we talked about, Google Forms will automatically populate some of the information or into bar graphs or pie charts or different things like that. And it's a pretty simple way of taking a look at stuff. Okay, and so it tells you the percentage here and all this stuff. It's not a bad deal. For some quick analysis and looking at things where it's fairly simple. Okay, and so if that's all you want to do, that's fine. But if we want to look in a little more detail, change things up a little bit, then we're going to export these out from our Google Forms into Microsoft Excel. So all you got to do is click on View in Sheets. And again, there's tons of videos out there, right, for you to take a look at, and you can get as complicated in this and as detailed in this as you want, or you can go as simple on that as you want as well. Okay. So what we can take a look at here, I don't know why this is up here. Oh, I was practicing on that. I'll leave that up for now. Okay, so a lot of things you can do here. Some people talk about, like, if you have a lengthy descriptor up here, some people will shorten those up or make abbreviations with that. That's totally up to you in regards to what you want to do with that. But the first thing that you can do is decide what information that you want to look at in a little bit more detail. If you want to do the whole entire survey that you did, you can sure do that. If you want to do one column at a time, you can do that as well. Okay, so kind of depends on your questions, kind of depends on
Is he frozen just for me?
People's situations can change.
No, he's frozen for me too.
Okay. None of you moved, so I was like, is it just me?
All I could see was you moving, Sunshine.
God.
I didn't even know he was
still.
frozen.
Nikki, you never watched the Barbie movie?
I don't watch TV and I don't really watch movies anymore.
I have to admit, I didn't watch the whole thing, so I was making assumptions. Oh, there you go.
Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on, but I guess I'm back now. You guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. All right. That was a little strange, but let's see. Let's try this again. Guys, we're hoping that class was done with. Yes, participants can see my screen. Okay, let's minimize that. All right, hopefully that doesn't happen again. I don't know if my internet just froze or what happened there. But so first thing I'm going to do is just select some information. There's a couple different ways you can do that. So when you do a pivot table, you can go up here into this insert tab and then connect on pivot table. Okay. And it's going to ask you if you want to do it in a new sheet, which is of course brand new, or you want to do it within this existing sheet. So most of the things that I've seen and looked at is people will create a brand new sheet to look at their information. Up here, you can see the data range. So here I have responses between A1 and J10. Okay, so that's the whole thing right now. Okay, so if I hit create on that, okay, it's going to pop it over and pull it over into this new sheet. Now there's nothing in here right now, and so we have the rows, the columns, the values, the filters, all these different things that you can include in terms of your pivot table and your analysis and what you want to take a look at. Okay, so if I want to add a row, right, I can pick from anything that I've got in my data. Okay, so the timestamp would be when everybody took it. So you might have something that includes you might collect not people's names, but you might collect like maybe what school they're at or what grade level they teach or something like that, right? Excuse me. So for this sake, I'm going to include the timestamp on here so I can see the different people or the different times that the survey was taken. So of course, these represent the number of times or the 9 times that the survey was taken. You can change all these things up, right? Ascending, descending, there in each one of these different rows or columns, values, etc. There's some options that you can have on that. So I've got that in there, and now within the columns, I want to look at a little bit more on one of the questions. Okay, so maybe the first one I'm going to look at is I energetically pursue my goals. Okay, and so again here it's got the different options that we're choosing. So 5, 6, 7, and 8 were the only options out of those 8 that were included. Okay, you have options in each of these again to show the total. Okay, you can click that out. You notice down here it went away. Okay, also on the top, same thing. That will go off to the side as well. Okay, so you can include ascending, descending, etc. on that. The other thing you can include in there is the values. Okay, and so you can also include. I'm going to do it right here in the same one, for example. Okay, and so it's spread out, okay, a little bit in terms of numbers of 6s, the number of 5, 7, 8, etc. So now I can see not just the total of the numbers that were included, but which person or which timestamp or whatever you want to call it picked those. Okay, you can change them also as well into these different values. So right now they're organized by sum, like we're adding them up. If you want to do an average, you can change that to the average component, and it gives you a 6.22 here. And so you can change it to the median. You can change it to all these different options here for you to take a look at. Okay, so again, maybe I don't want the grand total of that, so maybe I take that off because maybe it's not important that there was 8 of those, or maybe it's not important that I know the 622, although if I'm looking at average, it probably is on that. Anyway, so there's lots of different options for us to take a look at depending upon what we want to know on that. You can also add some filters. This doesn't necessarily work real well with my survey that I did on that, but that is an option where you can add some filters within there if you have, say, you're sorting them out based upon the time that they were taken, or if it was a certain grade or whatever that might be. There's a lot of different options with that filter piece that you can do in there as well. So you can just do, you can look at one of them. You could look at multiple ones if you want. Maybe I want to compare them. So maybe I'm going to take, if I want to take something out while I'm looking at these things, all I got to do is click the X button. Okay. So I don't want to look at those pieces anymore in terms of the values, but I am going to add another column. So all I got to do is click on the add. And I am going to add in, there are, I feel tired most of the time. Okay. So I've got those 2 in there now. Okay. And then I'm also going to add a value here for this. And I'm going to add energetically pursue my goals. Okay. Then I'm also going to add feel tired most of the time. Okay. So this gets, I can't really see that there. So this is a little bit lengthy here now, right? Because it's spread way out over that piece of that. So maybe that's too much in one. Right? Maybe not. It depends on what you're looking at. Right? And so right now I'm going to take that, but you can add multiple ones in there. Okay? You can add them in here. Maybe I want to take these 2 out now for that. Again, it all depends upon what you want to look at and how detailed you want to get in regards to looking at the information, putting pivot tables together for those pieces. What questions do you guys have right now in regards to like pulling that data and that information out in there? Anything so far? Okay. If you do, holler at me while we're going along here, okay? Okay, so now the next thing that we can take a look at and do is that we've got this information here, but now I want to display it in a way that is easier maybe for other people to look at or to read or whatever. And so next thing I can do then also here is to insert, click on chart. Okay, it's going to automatically pop some stuff up in there for me. Okay, but I can come over here then to this chart editor. I'm going to move this up over here. And I can change quite a bit of stuff around in here. Okay, and so it gives you some suggested pieces of it right here. But I can go down into all, excuse me. I can go down into all this and change it up. Maybe I want to look at a line chart, see what that looks like. Now that's maybe not too exciting. Okay? Or I want to go into that piece, the standard piece, stacked area chart. You got columns, you got bar graphs, pies, you got scatter plots you can use in here as well. And just quite a bit of information here, or quite a bit of options that you can take a look at. You can change them vertically. You can, like I said, there's quite a bit of stuff in here that you can change on it as well. Okay, you can click in here and manipulate it. You can change some titles, some wording, some information on there, and then whatever you change here also gets changed back in your pivot table piece as well. Let me move that around a little bit here. Okay. So when you make a change to this pivot table, it makes a change in the chart or the graph that you use, and vice versa with that as well. Okay. So say we changed our mind, we do not want to have this here anymore, then we can just clear it out of it. Oh, it's down here, I think. You can edit it. Let's go back. So I want to, so what this might be good for in some other components is comparing components or comparing different questions that you might want to take a look at. So one of the things in the columns, it talks about like energetically pursuing goals. And then another one is I feel tired most of the time. Maybe there's a correlation between some of those pieces, right? So maybe I want to make a chart for that to see what that looks like. Okay, so then I can, maybe I want to compare both of those. Why are both of those not in there? Probably because I don't have them highlighted. There, now let's try it. Okay, that's still not working. All right, so I'm not doing quite something quite right in that. But you can do a lot of stuff in here in terms of creating and putting things together. Like I said, in the editor and in the piece, in terms of making it look nice and interesting for the readers and those people that are taking a look at the information and the data when you do like a presentation component of that. Okay. So you can also, oops. You're looking at the form responses here. If you don't want all those pieces in there and all the questions, where maybe I just want to look at column C, for example, I can insert a pivot table with just that highlighted. It's just going to give me that information. I can click create. Okay? And so it's going to be just that information there if I want just that question. Okay? Maybe I want the timestamp and those as well, so I can get the different, look at the different people that answered those questions. But then you, of course, you might add it into the columns. And that's going to be what you're taking a look at. You're going to want something else over here in terms of the timestamp to be able to compare things and take a look at them. But you can limit it to a couple of those as well. And maybe I wanted to do just 2 questions within that, so I could do the same thing right here. insert chart. Okay, now it easily, I didn't export that to a pivot table, but I exported those two right to the chart, and I'm comparing them. Again, same thing. I want to maybe look at different graphs, histograms, or whatever it is that I'm taking a look at, and to compare those as well. Another thing that you can do that I'm kind of just learning about as well is to include something called slicers. I got to find where that's at. I want to make that in a different. Do that. Ah. So the more you practice with this, the easier it becomes, of course. So I'm going to go back to the charts here. And then I'm going to insert a slicer once I can find that. And slicer is not something that you need to use, but it just gives you a little bit of a different breakdown where you can choose.
It's there in data.
Yep, it's
Did I
under
see
data.
it?
It's add a
Yeah, I
slicer.
saw it. Yeah, I saw data.
Oh yeah, there it is. Thank you. All right. Okay, so you can in this slicer, it's just a different way of looking at the information as well. So if you pick, for example, I'm adding this one here. I can think of ways to get out of a jam, right? You can take a look individually then at maybe, so these are all the responses, right? There was 5, 6, 7, and 8 is the responses that you guys had, right? So maybe I just want to look at the 7s and 8s, and then it changes that information, and then it only shows me some of that information, right? So you can change that info, change what you're looking at specifically, and you got to hit OK on it, then it'll change it. And so maybe, again, if you're, depending upon the data how you want to look at the data, how much you want to drill down on specific things, as well as, kind of clarify, some of the responses or information. Again, it's not necessarily something that you need to do with the slicer piece and stuff, but I'm just trying to show you guys some different ways or some information that's out there to look at your data and information as much as you want with that. Okay. Questions on the charts or the slicers, or hopefully I'm not confusing you more. Those of you that know how to do it probably are laughing at me.
I had a question. Did you take your own survey then?
I did not.
Okay,
I don't think I did.
so we have one student who didn't.
Yes. Yes.
I have a question too about
Yes, Andy.
the survey I sent out. Before I sent it out, I sent it to my daughter to kind of test it.
Sure.
So her responses are in my information. So is that okay? Or...
Yep, that's okay. Yep, it's just practice stuff. Yeah. So if you have 5, 6, 7, that's okay. If you have, send it to some extra people to practice on, that's fine too. Yeah. So, yep.
Okay.
Because it's not anything that you're going to share or publish or do anything with that. So yeah, it doesn't matter. If you have I mean, hopefully most everybody's able to answer everybody's questions, but if you only get a few responses back and you want some other data or information to work on, let me know and I can share some stuff with you to look at as well. So when you're doing these things, if you can see on the bottom of my screen, I'm going to minimize this here for a second. So you can see on the bottom, I've got I got a bunch of pivot tables down there, right? I haven't saved any of them, right? So I can rename them, you know, to whatever I want. Of course, I'm going to rename them to, you know, maybe it's question 1. I'm going to rename to save it that I analyzed. Or so if you would create for our assignment, if you would create 3 different either pivot tables, so you practice on those a little bit, you can again just analyze 1 question of yours if you want. You can compare a couple questions, but if you will save this file here and then you can upload that for your assignment, right, or to complete your assignment. So all you got to do, of course, is save it. And then either send me that link to that or upload it to my SBC for that assignment. But then just rename your piece. Again, I'm not looking for like things to be perfect or that they even like necessarily make sense, but that you're practicing to create these pivot tables, create a chart maybe with them, then that goes down here within that pivot table as well. So you get a little practice on creating them. Okay, and then for that final piece, you can maybe or not maybe, but then you will create a little bit of a narrative to take a look at some of that information, and I'll provide you with some examples on that in terms of what we're looking for. Because if you're going to do a survey for your study, you're going to take that information or that statistics, that data. You're going to analyze it, but then you're also going to talk about it as well. Maybe what it means, what you interpret it to mean. So I want you to practice a little bit with that piece as well. Let's see here. Okay, other questions or things in terms of the pivot tables or how to extract them. The extracting piece is pretty easy. You just click that button and it automatically takes it there. But some of these pieces take a little bit of practice in terms of what you might want to look at, right? If you have a large amount of data, it gives you more options, right? Some of the videos that you might see on YouTube or look at talk a lot about like businesses using this to compare like how much how many products did we sell of this type, or how much did we sell of the other type, or where are we selling that, or those things like that. So you can really do a lot with them. So it just kind of depends on the data that you're looking at for that. So okay, any questions? Okay, so I'll type out specifically, again, here in the data analysis presentation. So I want you to do 3 pivot tables to practice, okay, with the data that you got, and then create a pivot table and then create a chart that connects with that. You don't have to explain it. You don't have to talk about it, but I just want you to do 3 of them and then save that and share that and upload that with me. And then for the final, if you want to use your same information, your same survey responses, you can do that. And then I'll write that out, but I'll talk about the narrative piece that that you can use to explain the information, the data that you took a look at. Okay.
So we don't have to like talk about it in a presentation video. We just have to do the work on the sheets.
Correct. Yes. For this week. Yep. Just do the work on the sheets, practice doing that. Because I just want you to practice at it. and then upload that and put that together. And then the final will be talking about it. Maybe, again, it's not information or data that's probably real deep or real difficult, but I still want you to talk about some of that. So there might be some questions or some things that you practice with now that when it comes to the final, you might say, well, I don't know if I can really talk much about that. So maybe you'll pick something different to look at or analyze on that. So, and then share or talk about it. So, and you can do that for the final. It doesn't have to be a video. You can if you want, but if you want to put it up into like a Microsoft Word document and pull those pivot tables out there and on the document and then type it up and write about it, that'll be an option to do that, or a PowerPoint, or however you want. I'll give you the option to do it, but it doesn't have to be a video necessarily. So then if you remember, next week, the 15th and the 22nd, there won't be a Zoom session. I will be available that finals week on that Monday night. There won't be any new material to share. It'll just be that final piece will be due that week. But I'll be available if you have questions, you want to pop in or whatever. I mean, I'm available anytime. You just have to reach out and let me know if you want to visit or need help with something. We just have to set something up, and I can help you through that as much as I can. So, but the 15th and the 22nd, which is the next 2 weeks, we won't meet over Zoom for those weeks. But those assignments here, and I'll try to share a little bit more, or send a little bit more about the chapters on those as well. The last 2 chapters of the Indigenous Statistics book. But those are open as well, so you can complete those ahead of time if you want. You don't have to wait till each week for that. Anything also that is missing or you haven't completed yet for the semester, remember May 2nd is the last day to turn those in. So that's about 3 weeks away, 3.5 weeks away. So end of the semester's coming up pretty quick. So. Okay, if you guys don't have any questions, that's kind of all I wanted to go over, just to make sure that you guys kind of had a little bit of an idea. Because the more I looked at that one video, the more confused I was, because he went through it really quickly and did a variety of things there with that. But if you want to go back to that video and look, you sure can, because I'm sure he did a better job of explaining stuff. Or if you need some other resources, please let me know, because there's a ton of them out there in regards to like transferring stuff from Google Forms to the Excel sheet and creating different tables and charts and graphs and histograms and all those components. Okay, that's all that I had then, if you guys don't have any questions. If you do, reach out, please.
Did everybody take my survey? I sent it kind of late. I can resend it to you.
I think I did.
Oh,
I don't remember seeing it, but I'll check my email again.
okay.
There
It
was-
was kind of weird.
There was 2 surveys I couldn't take. Andy, I think yours was one of them.
Okay.
It said I needed to log in. I logged in and it wouldn't let me take it.
So
I-
make sure you have to go into those settings and make sure that it's open for everybody to take. Automatically it will restrict it to like the Google, somebody that has a Google account. So you want to open that up so that everybody can take it. So I think Nikki had that issue right away, but got hers fixed on that as well. But
Okay, I'll
Yeah,
have to check it.
It is
again.
your handy. It just says to fill out this form, you must be signed in, but I am signed in.
Okay. Is it the part where it says editor on that?
I'll show you
menu?
here.
Okay.
If you go up to the settings, so up top here in the settings, if you click on that and then click on responses. Oh, no, wait a minute.
I think it
Oh,
was.
yeah, it is. Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
Right a little bit down here. Require sign in. So automatically it has this selected, right? Restrict users in Sitting Bull College and trusted organization, or it might be from whatever account that if you're using your
Yeah,
Google
'cause-
account, just click that off.
Yeah, mine doesn't have the Sitting Bull College.
Right.
one, so.
Yeah, it might be something different, depending upon which email address you use and stuff. So,
Okay, I'll check it.
okay. I can't remember. I think I took yours, Andy, but I'll go back and check to see if I did. Do you know if you have responses up here, like when you?
Yeah,
go
I
in?
got like 4 responses. One was
Okay.
my daughter's, so 3
Sure.
from.
Yeah, I only have 7 and 1 is me and 1 is Chris. So
So if you
Um,
don't get everybody, I mean, hopefully you get like 9 of them, right? But if you get close to that and then you want to start looking at and working on it, go ahead and do it. You don't have to have everybody's in case there's issues like this that come up where somebody can't get in and take it or something. But I think the most you'll get right now is 9, I think. So
okay, I'll send it out again.
okay. All right.